Hello friends, today I'm talking about complex PTSD and catastrophizing. I'm not saying that the only people that engage in catastrophizing are people with complex PTSD. But what I am saying is that if you know that you have complex PTSD and you find yourself catastrophizing, how you work through it has to take into account the complex PTSD so that you experience lasting change. Okay, so with that in mind, you can ask yourself, when I think about my goals, when I think about the future, when I think about things that I would really like to accomplish in my life, do I have this underlying sense that something bad is going to happen if I reach those goals? Do I feel like the worst is always going to happen? Do I have this underlying sense of impending doom when I think about the future and the things that I want to accomplish? If your answers are yes to any of those questions and you are currently working through complex PTSD, you're going to want to watch this video. For those that don't know me, my name is Michelle. I'm a life and relationship coach specializing in working through complex PTSD and childhood trauma. And I'm also the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which is an interactive monthly membership where we meet live weekly and we go through everything I talk about on my channel and we take it to another level. So if you think that's something you might be interested in, make sure you check out the links in the description box below. Okay, so catastrophizing is when we expect the worst to happen. And it can show up in our thoughts, right? It can show up in our outlook on our goals, on the future. It can show up in our body, in the body sensations that come up when we think about accomplishing our goals. And all of those thoughts and body sensations are basically trying to install or instill fear. Fear that something bad is going to happen. If you've been through narcissistic abuse or childhood trauma for whatever reason, more often than not, that fear is understandable, because anytime you tried to do something that you wanted to do, right? Anytime you accomplished a goal, it was usually met with either aggression, indifference, right? Being emotionally abandoned, or some kind of criticism and emotional pain. And when that happens in childhood, that is extremely painful. So the brain takes note of that. And since our brain's job is to cause us to move away from pain and towards pleasure, it starts to view any goal, anything that causes us happiness, any accomplishment as something that's dangerous, because it's remembering the imprint of the original trauma, right? If the imprint was whenever I accomplished these things or I did something positive, it was met with such emotional pain, there's that paired association. Your brain doesn't want to go there. It thinks it's keeping you safe by keeping you from these goals. And one of the tools that it uses is catastrophizing. Part of working through complex PTSD is learning how the brain operates, how it began to malfunction as a result of the childhood trauma, and how we can rewire it so that it's working for us instead of against us. The reality is that our brain is a complex goal-striving mechanism with a sort of built-in automatic guidance system that either works for you for success or against you for failure. Okay, so think of it kind of like an automatic GPS. If I set my GPS coordinates to a specific destination and I don't like that destination, but it's still set for that destination, when I get to that destination, can I really be mad at the GPS? No, because I set those coordinates, right? But when it comes to our subconscious mind, our automatic guidance system, the coordinates are normally set by someone else, right? They're normally set by our parents. And if our parents were toxic, if our parents were unhealed themselves, then the coordinates or the beliefs that were instilled are not normally where we want to be. There are beliefs like the one we're talking about now with catastrophizing, the belief that anytime I do something good, something bad is going to happen. Or if I strive after my goals, then, that means something horrible is going to happen, or I'm a bad person. That belief or those GPS coordinates were not put in by you, they were put in by someone else. But the thing with our brain is that once the coordinates are there, if we do nothing, then our brain will just keep bringing us to the same destination. Because our subconscious is very much like our GPS. Our GPS doesn't have an opinion, right? It doesn't say, Michelle, do you really want to go there? You know, maybe there's a better destination for you. No, our conscious mind thinks like that, but our subconscious doesn't. It just does, just like a GPS, whatever it's programmed to do. So part of being able to overcome catastrophizing is peeling back the layers to the beliefs, the thoughts, and the feelings that create catastrophizing. Okay, sometimes we want to just attack it on the action level, which is to stop catastrophizing, to start automatically thinking positive thoughts. But that would be attempting to change our subconscious program on the actions level or on the conscious level. And our conscious mind is no match for our subconscious mind. So we can't force it that way. We actually have to peel it back and look at the beliefs, okay? The other thing that we have to do is recognize, because of the trauma, and this is the Cptsd part of it, is as you're working through your beliefs, as you're attempting to change your thoughts, as you're attempting to have different feelings in your body that will create different actions, it doesn't feel good. That's the hard part. So if you don't have complex PTSD and you're learning new behaviors, it might feel uncomfortable because it's new, right? But it's just a little bit uncomfortable, and little by little, it gets more and more comfortable. But with Cptsd, when you start to change things and when you start to operate outside of your subconscious beliefs, you can have emotional flashbacks. You wind up getting thrown into your fight or flight, and you have a very harsh inner critic that kicks on and berates you. And the reason for that is because those are your alarm systems getting kicked on. Your alarm system where your brain was saying, hey, thinking about you, doing things that you like, accomplishing things is dangerous. And so it kicks on all of these survival skills that are trying to keep you safe. So it's a belief and a coping skill that you have to work through. So if we want to overcome catastrophizing, a layer of it is working through the triggers that come up that cause us to feel all of those things as we're trying to change our future, right? So that we don't keep repeating the past. I want to give you a few tips that I think will be very helpful if you're working through this, okay? If you're looking towards the future and you're having all of these thoughts come up and you're always feeling like nothing good is going to happen, everything bad is going to happen, and you're feeling this sense of dread, which will wind up causing that to take place, right? Because when we're feeling dread and we're thinking nothing good is going to happen, we show up differently. And then we wind up creating that, and then we strengthen that belief and we stay stuck in a limbic system loop. So the way we start breaking out of it is start viewing your triggers as opportunities. Opportunities to work through what your brain couldn't work through in the past. So for example, if you have a goal, right? Let's say you're going to do something different, something positive. You're going to buy a house. You're going to get married. You're going to start a new career, whatever it is, right? And those emotions come up inside of you that something bad is going to happen. You have to understand that what that trigger is telling you is that at some point in your past, when you were trying to accomplish something positive, something chaotic and emotionally confusing took place that your brain couldn't make sense of. And so it kind of got stuck. And so what's happening now is that it's noticing a pattern. It's noticing something new is about to happen. It's remembering that intense emotion of dread that took place in the past, which was your coping skill. It's bringing up that dread because it's thinking, well, we didn't resolve this in the past. Can we resolve it now? And here's where you have that opportunity to start helping your brain to make sense of what happened so that you can break that pattern. And so there's a few things that you can do. The first thing is to start recognizing the pattern itself, right? The fact that every time you look to the future with positivity, something comes up inside of you. Every time you think about doing something that is exciting for you or positive and your thoughts go to such a dark place, you want to start noticing that pattern. Because if we can't notice the pattern, then we can't change it. So start analyzing your life, like when do I want to accomplish something? When am I trying to be positive? And when are these thoughts, this catastrophizing, when is that stepping in and preventing me from going in the direction that I want to go? Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to normalize it and make sense out of it, because in childhood you couldn't make sense out of it. You didn't understand why accomplishing something that other parents would have been happy for caused you so much emotional pain. It didn't make sense. And in childhood, you didn't have the emotional literacy to understand that it wasn't you, that it wasn't your fault. So there was a lot of self-blame, there was a lot of confusion that caused your brain to kind of get stuck in that. So you want to normalize it. And that sounds like, you know, that was really messed up that mom and dad got upset when you won this award. You know, you did such a great job. You know, I'm proud of you. That was really awesome. I'm sorry that they didn't see how awesome that was. So when you talk to that emotion like that, you're actually soothing the past. Once you do that, now you're helping your brain to kind of work through it, right? The next thing you can ask yourself is, you know, what do I need now? What did I need then and what do I need now? So what you needed then might have just been some words of encouragement. You just might have needed to feel seen, heard, and cared about. And you wanted to know that you weren't alone. So it might be similar now. Your inner self wants to know that it's safe to do something exciting. It's safe to have a positive result. And the way that you create that safety is by you showing up for yourself. A lot of working through all of these different symptoms of complex PTSD or narcissistic victim syndrome is learning how to connect to self again. Narcissistic abuse causes disconnect from self, right? So learning how to connect to ourselves, learning how to show up for ourselves is a big part in working through it. And the last step would be to bring yourself to the present moment. Like, even though that's one of my favorite bridges to the present, right? Because you're not denying the past, but you're not staying in it either with that phrase. So you could say something like, even though every time in the past, every positive was met with a negative, every accomplishment was met with emotional pain, I'm so glad that now I have the ability to help myself feel good. I'm so proud of myself for understanding what happened, for working through it, and for creating the life that I really want. I'm so glad that I'm capable of doing that. And then you have to remember that that thought process is a new pathway. It's a new neural pathway in your brain. Just because you get it on a logical level doesn't mean that it's automatically going to start happening in your life. You have to then repeat that thought process every time that you're thinking about the future, every time you're thinking about a goal that you want to accomplish. And as you're repeating that thought pattern, you need to also bring up in your body a positive emotion. I always say in the School of Transformation that the subconscious learns through repetition, but it also needs the emotion to pay attention to it, especially if you have complex PTSD, because your brain is always looking for danger. It's almost hypervigilant for danger, so that if something's safe, it's not even going to pay attention to it because it's looking for danger. But if you create a lot of emotion around it and you bring up a positive emotion, now your subconscious is like, what's going on over there? Let me check it out. Oh, doing something for myself, accomplishing a goal is a positive thing. It's safe. It feels good. Now you're rewiring your subconscious mind. So a lot of working through these characteristics, these challenges in our personality, is learning how to get our subconscious mind on board with our journey. Because narcissistic abuse infiltrates your subconscious mind. Okay, remember I said that the subconscious learns through repetition plus emotion. If nothing else, narcissistic parents are repetitive. They repeat and repeat and repeat, almost like a broken record, right? And then they constantly are provoking emotions in you. Emotions like fear, dread, unsafety. So that's very well worn inside of you. So we need to do the same thing in a healthy way with the repetition plus emotion. We need to repeat the healthy behaviors, the healthy thought processes, and the healthy emotions that we want to feel in order to override that. Something else that's helpful, that can help the subconscious to change how it views the future, is if you can visualize your success. What does success look like to you? If you can't visualize it, then your subconscious mind can't help you to get there. Instead, it's going to repeat the past because that's what it knows. Very much like the GPS. If I don't reset my GPS coordinates and I just get in my car, it's going to bring me to the last coordinates that it was set at. It's not going to change for me. I have to change it. I have to program it. Well, one of the things that we can use to reprogram our subconscious mind is to visualize our preferred future. Our mind tends to want to dwell in the mistakes of the past. So, for example, with catastrophizing, it will take a few big events from the past and use them as evidence as to why the future is going to be just as bad and just as horrible. It will say things like, no, because remember when this happened, you tried this and that, this negative thing happened. Then you had this accomplishment and this negative thing happened. And then you tried this and this horrible thing happened. And it's going to just repeat the past, okay? But when we talk about that preferred future and we make a clear image, we give it the GPS coordinates for that preferred future, that's when we can start shifting from repeating the past to creating the future. And I just wanted to mention that the words we use when we're talking about our preferred future are important. So for example, when we're talking about what we want, let's say we want to accomplish something. Let's say we want to reach certain goals. Let's say we want to change certain emotional states. We want to upgrade certain beliefs, right? When we're talking and trying to get our subconscious on board with us, we have to use the present and the positive. In other words, I can't say, I don't want to be negative. I don't want to catastrophize. I don't want to feel impending doom. If I say that, my subconscious mind only hears catastrophize, impending doom. It doesn't hear the word don't or what I don't want. So we have to use the right words to bring our subconscious on board. And what that would look like is I see myself. You want to see, hear, and feel, because the subconscious mind learns through our feelings, okay, through our senses. I see myself safe, accomplishing my goals. I see myself proud of myself, happy when I'm accomplishing my goals. I see myself relaxed and positive. And then you can add the sense of hearing. I hear myself saying things like, you know, Michelle, you've got this. I'm here for you. What do you need? We can do this together. You're not alone. And we start thinking of the things we would have to say to ourselves in order to go in that direction. Okay, so as we're creating it, let's say it's a new career. You want to visualize yourself at that career. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What emotions are running through your body? What do you see yourself doing that you're not doing now? And you want to just get as clear as possible. And then use visualization. Keep repeating it, seeing yourself, because now you're creating new neural pathways that are going to help you go in that direction. If we don't do that, if we don't understand how the brain plays a part in either helping us or hindering us towards our goals and overcoming the side effects of complex PTSD, then we're going to wind up staying stuck. Okay, we have to start understanding how to get our brain, our subconscious mind on board on the healing journey. So I really hope these tips help.